average website converts 2% of its visitors into customers. That's the average e-commerce website. Perhaps the same applies to many other types of websites, subscription type websites, lead generation type websites, content type websites. Even websites that are converting at 10 or 15 or 20% conversion rate, which is incredible by many standards. If you think about it, they are still losing anywhere between 75 to 80% of their visitors. And those visitors who are leaving, those visitors who are not converting, this is basically money that you are leaving on the table. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have some very incredible case studies covering practical examples of companies that did not accept low conversion rates, companies that wanted to do something to increase their conversion rates. Again, thank you for joining us, and I am joined by my partner, Ayat Shukeri. Ayat, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here today.
Excellent, excellent. We're coming to you from our Istanbul studios. So this is, I think, the fourth or fifth webinar that's coming from Istanbul. Now, before we get started with the webinar, as usual, we have staff members on standby, staff members who are ready to answer any question that you have. So use either Twitter, you can tweet at us using the hashtag InvestCRO, or you can use the chat feature, the Q&A chat feature at the GoToWebinar. And like I said, we love to have these webinars very interactive. And with many, many different case studies, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to give their feedback. Also, we're doing something very special tonight where we are doing a live web clinic. And we're going to be taking some websites that were submitted to us and doing some analysis on those. Before we get started, we'll take a 5 seconds, short break and get started with the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for coming back. And we have to do this for the YouTube recording. Those of you who are attending the webinar, they're getting to interact with us, to watch the webinar live. But we have quite a bit of people who are following our YouTube channel. Some of the videos are getting 4,000, 5,000, close to 7,000 views. So there's a lot more people who are interested in watching these videos. So we have to take these short breaks. But Ayat, how many case studies are we going to be covering tonight?
We're covering actually 7 different case studies. We're looking at a 10% to a 200% increase in conversion.
10% to 200%, very, very incredible. And what type of websites are we going to be looking at?
So we're looking at anything from a subscription-based website to an e-commerce website.
Very good. So with that, a lot of case studies, 7 case studies, plus a live web clinic. There's quite a bit that we are going to try and cover, quite a bit of ground. So let's jump into our first case study. Walk us through it.
Right. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a website that personalizes different items. We're looking actually at the category level, and what we focused on was the top banner, as well as the subcategory list view and the search.
Very good. So that's the original design that we are looking at for this website. With that, let's jump in and look at the challengers, the designs. We like to call them either variations or challengers. What do you call it usually with and Ayat runs all of our conversion optimization projects, oversees the teams that are conducting the conversion optimization. What do you usually like to call them?
I usually like to call them actually variations.
Variations.
Variations
I picked up the word challengers lately, so I keep on calling it that. So with that, let's look at the first variation.
Okay, what I do want to explain to the listeners today is that we're going to be looking at these case studies, and then afterwards we're going to go into the methodology behind them. It's just a different format of how we're presenting the webinar today. So the first variation, we actually removed the product display banner that was taking up a lot of the space, and we included a different banner with some wording there.
Okay, very good. So that's the first variation. Variation 2.
So what we did with variation 2 was we included a refined search feature where the users could search further and drill down deeper into that category level, as well as we did remove that product display banner as well.
Very good. What are your thoughts on the product display banners over here? Because I saw that you removed them from both variations.
A lot of times what we say is that if they are taking up a lot of space, we're concerned about them. We want to make sure that products are listed before anything else, and you're giving kind of just that priority to the product listings.
Very good. So that's what we did. How many variations? 2 variations in this particular case?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Variation 3.
Oh, there's a variation 3, and what we did was that we included actually a carousel for variation 3 here. It removed, again, that product display banner and include the refined search.
So let's talk about product carousel. How do you pick what products you display in a product carousel? Because that's another form of navigation that you want to include on, or you want people need to consider when they are designing a category page for an e-commerce website.
So when you're considering, you want to consider also the personas, the different, personas that are coming into the website, that are interacting with the website. You want to make sure that your website is as engaging as possible and helps the customers at any stage that they might be at to get to the actual product level and the products that they're actually looking for.
Very good. Now, when we talk about personas, and I remember about, I think back in 2010, I actually had to write an article defending that personas could be used in e-commerce. This is something that's very accepted now. I don't think people even discuss that. How about for other types of websites? For bloggers, we have also quite a few bloggers who are actually joining the webinar tonight. Does that even apply to them and help them actually gain more subscribers? Because ultimately, every website has a goal, conversion. Whether it's a sale for an e-commerce website, maybe a subscription for a blog, maybe it's read more article for a content type website, or gain more subscriptions. How do personas help all these different types of websites?
Again, you're getting different people that have different needs, different wants. So making sure that you understand the personas, making sure that you understand who's coming to your website and catering to them is really going to help you kind of move that conversion forward, whether it's e-commerce conversion or a subscription-based or a content-based or whatever it is, you're going to be able to help them move in that direction.
So this is something, if there are a few lessons that you want to take away tonight. If you are going to work on something that was going to help you long-term, definitely develop personas. That's going to help you regardless of the type of website that you have. So we looked at the 3 different variations. And with that, I think we put a side-by-side look, the original, 1, 2, and 3. And I think we are ready to open our first poll for tonight. We're showing the 3 different variations against the original, and we're asking our audience members. Now this is your chance, and a poll just opened. We'll give people a chance to actually vote. Now, meanwhile, I want to talk to our webinar attendees. The goal from creating these webinars, and there's quite a bit of effort that goes into creating these webinars, is to create a community that wants to learn about conversion optimization, a community that wants to share the knowledge of conversion optimization, a community that creates websites that people love. And if you enjoy these webinars, please make sure that you share them with your colleagues, with your friends. Whether it's the webinar recording, you will have access to these slides. After the webinar is done, we are going to be mailing you these slides. Also, as people are voting, and the poll is in progress. Again, you see the 3 different variations against the original. I want to have a special thanks to our partners who make these webinars possible. Special thanks goes out to 3M, the Special Olympics, skis.com. These partners believe in investment, and we've been doing this for about 10 years, quite a bit of change. And really, it has been an incredible journey, and these partners help make these webinars very possible. With that, and I'm looking, the webinar is still in progress. Let's close the webinar and let's take a look at the results. And I'm seeing over here, I'm looking at the results. So 50% of the webinar attendees selected design 2. Let's take a look and let's go back. If you want to go back to your machine over here and switch us to a presentation mode.
Yes.
Very good. So 50% selected design 2, and the winner is, with a 50%.
50% increase in website conversion, actually design 3 won.
Design 3. I think about 25% of our webinar attendees selected design 3. So 50% increase in website conversions. Now, when we're talking about 50% increase in conversions, we're talking about macro conversions for an e-commerce website, somebody placing an order.
Exactly. So these are customers that came to the category pages and from the category pages actually placed an order.
Went to a product page and then placed an order, but they went through the process. However, It's a macro conversion, 50%. So that's an incredible number.
Right, exactly. So what you see is we actually did a lot with navigation in this particular case study. So it's very important to improve navigation, because what you're doing by improving navigation and offering your customers and your visitors different ways to navigate the website is you're offering just different outlets for them. You're giving them a chance to increase their buyer momentum and increasing scent overall. So what Variation 3 did really was, not only did we include the refined search, but we also include that product carousel that really improved buyer momentum. So by improving buyer momentum, by enhancing usability and increasing navigational options, this is going to help the visitors pick up scent. And that's exactly what helps them increase conversion. So again, reducing scent to a single outlet, you're ignoring the different types of visitors, the different types of personas that are coming to your website. You want to make sure every single visitor that's coming and address their needs. Also, consider the visitor's eye path and what is the expected next action. Is there sufficient buyer momentum to move forward? In the first control design, there wasn't. That banner was really taking up a lot of space.
Very good. So you talked about and you talked about the concept that we've covered a lot in the past, buyer momentum. There's another concept which is cognitive progression. I'm sure we're going to be covering some of that tonight. But buyer momentum. I'm coming to the website. There is momentum. How do you explain it to somebody who's not sure about the concept? And of course, they can refer to some of our previous webinars, which are available on our YouTube channel to look at that. But let's quickly, what do you mean by buyer momentum?
Again, your visitor is coming. They're ready to purchase, they're ready to move forward. You have to make sure that you provide them with the scent and the outlets and the trail that's going to kind of find their path. So that's considering all the different visitors, all the different buying stages, all the different personas, and making sure you provide outlets for all of them.
Very good. And it's funny because sometimes you talk to an expert like Ayat, and just in the last sentence, you talked about the different personas, the different buying stages. That sentence sounds like very simple. However, if you want to explain it, there is just a lot of complexity. Not every visitor, the buying stage, not every visitor who comes is ready to buy. There's somebody who is browsing or researching or evaluating alternatives. How do you address all of that, and how do you maintain buyer momentum? There is quite a bit to think about in the design of every page on the website. First case study, 50%, really nice start for the webinar. So with that, let's jump into our second case study.
So in this second case study, we're actually looking at a furniture online retailer. And what they had in this control is that you can see there's a product selection below the fold. And then also just, again, for the user to navigate and choose the bed size, there was a limited way to do that. But the actual call to action was below the fold.
Very good. And this is interesting. This is one of our earlier, long-time clients. It's sort of funny because I remember when they first signed up with us, and I was having a conversation with the owner, and he asked me, would you buy furniture online? And I had to be very honest with him. I'm the kind of person who struggles buying furniture, going to a regular store. Going and buying furniture online, I just found that difficult, spending like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 online. But the results of the conversion optimization have been incredible, but we'll go through that. So that was the control. And let's take a look at the first variation.
So what we're looking at in the first variation is we move the call to action above the fold. We also changed the way that the product display overall looked in order to make it more engaging and make it easier for the actual visitor to use.
Very good. So that's the first challenger. And with that, we'll jump into the second challenger, second variation, as you like to call them, to the original.
So the second variation, we kept the product display pretty much the same, where they can select the bed size from the top the way that they already had displayed it, with the description and all of that. But we did move the call to action above the fold as well.
Very good. So with that, and we also have, just want to remind people that we do have staff members who are watching the Q&A feature on the GoTo webinar. So if you have any questions, please send them through the Q&A feature. We'll try and answer them. If they're relevant, we'll try and answer them right away. Otherwise, we are going to cover them at the end of the webinar. With that, so we looked at the original, variation 1, variation 2. And and I can't see the price over here. It's about, it's a bed frame, I guess, for $450. Side-by-side look, original against design 1 versus design 2. And another audience question, we're going to open up the poll. another poll for you to participate. 0, 1, 2, answer like which design you think will give people a chance to answer, and take a look at these different designs. So meanwhile, as we're giving people a chance, we've opened our Istanbul office. It's been about an incredible 6 months officially. We've spent quite a bit of time in Istanbul before then, but I had to heading back to the US next week. We're going to go see our US office over there.
So I'm very excited actually to go back to the U.S. and to oversee kind of how things are going over there.
Very good. Excellent, excellent.
And yourself, Khaled, I know that you're going to be attending several different conferences over the next couple of months.
Yes, so I'm actually going to be speaking at at 2 conferences very dear and near to my heart, because they're some of the conferences that I've spoken at for many, many years. I'm going to be speaking at the SMX East. And I'm also going to be speaking at PubCon, Las Vegas. I remember PubCon when it used to be back in November. Now they moved it to October. But PubCon is just an original, must-attend conference for anybody who is doing anything serious about online marketing. People are voting, and let's give people about 5 more seconds. Again, if you are watching this video, that means you've missed the live webinar. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, our webinar attendees, you guys are voting. With that, let's close the poll and let's take a look at the results. And the results are showing 100% selecting design 1. And
they're actually correct. It is design 1 with 108% improvement in website conversion.
108% increase in conversion rates. That is just absolutely incredible. And that's the design that we moved the add to cart above the fold, changed the product display a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
So what we did was we changed the product display, and we also moved the description below the fold. Some people might say, well, a description, why would you move it? Again, you have to remember, this is about buyer momentum. This is about product page optimization. A single element on a page may require more than one conversion framework element in order to fully optimize it. However, one conversion framework element remains dominant. When I'm looking at a product page, again, for my product pages, I'm considering all the different framework elements, but some framework elements may come before others. FUDs, trust, those are things that I'm going to be looking at before other framework elements. Also, when it comes to product page optimization, we think about product page effectiveness rate. This is a very, very important metric that we've discussed in previous webinars, and I definitely encourage a lot of the attendees to think about this rate. Again, how many of your visitors that get to the product page actually click on that add to cart button. So it's a very, very important rate and metric to measure, and you can simply do it through Google Analytics and set up a funnel. When the visitors have made it to the product page, you have a greater opportunity for persuasion. Again, remember, this is the product page, so you can add more. You can make sure that you reel them in. You can add video, you can add descriptions, but you have to make sure that it matches the product. It matches what you're offering. It matches what they need. Remember also the impulsive persona. That's definitely a persona that we want to address on the product pages, because this is when those shoppers that have their credit card in hand, this is the best opportunity for me to actually capture them and get them and make sure that they make the purchase.
So product page effectiveness rate, and it's a rate that we are very keen on measuring for every e-commerce website. However, we also call it the offer page effectiveness rate. So basically, it's that, let's say, for a product page is the percentage of people that click on the add to cart, not necessarily convert, but just click on the add to cart. But let's say on an offer page, let's say you have a multi-step, for a subscription. So the page that you offer the subscription, you ask people to subscribe and they click on that first step. That's an offer page effectiveness rate. On a content type website, an article, and you have download this article, or you have a button, so that measures also just merely clicking and not necessarily converting all the way. That measures the effectiveness of that page.
And we really like to see that product page effectiveness rate really high. So it's important for us to see that very high, because that's going to actually reflect on conversions directly.
Very good. So 2 case studies until now, 50%, 108%. Very incredible and really good. Let's jump into our third case study for the night.
So this is actually a subscription-based website. And what we're looking at here, it's a one-page checkout, the way that they had it. The subscription form appears before the subscription options. And there's also assurances and benefits on the right-hand side.
Very good. So that's the control. And
For the first, two variations, there's basically a single difference between them. First one, we included just something, a bar that gives the visitors an idea of where they are, kind of tracks their progress, kind of a progress bar. Also, what we did was we included the subscriptions immediately so they can select them with the benefits listed. In the second one, we included the benefits in the same progress bar, but however, we included a form, so that it could be kind of that one step registration as well.
Very good. So that's variations 1 and 2, the challengers to the original design, and then you have variations 3 and 4, quite a bit of change and departure.
Right. So for 3 and 4, what we did was we did like a vertical design rather than the horizontal design in displaying the actual, different subscription options. And then again, 3 did not have the registration form. 4 did have the registration form.
Very good. So this is a subscription type website,
Yes.
content type website, but it asks people to subscribe. So we've taken a look at e-commerce websites, now a subscription slash content type website, and different designs. And we're doing a side-by-side look. Let's open up a poll. Let's give people a chance before we open up the poll. I guess our staff just opened the poll. I didn't know this feature, but it's difficult to see the actual designs when you open up the poll very quickly. So we'll keep that in mind. But we're asking people to vote between the original design 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Now we have lots of variations for this particular case, and what I want to say to our listeners is that you have to look at the number of conversions that you get on your website to determine the number of different scenarios that you can actually test. This particular website had actually many different visitors coming, so depending on that and the conversions, we were able to actually test this many variations.
And this is, we have kind of a back of the napkin formula. For each 100 conversions that you are getting on your website, you can introduce a new variation. So if you have 400 conversions, that means you can have up to 4 challengers against the original. We typically, how many do you like to launch? I mean, I think 3 to 5 when we're first starting, and then we might increase them. You don't want to increase them to the point where it's just not manageable and it's difficult to assess what changed.
Exactly. You want to make sure that you hone in on the changes, and sometimes obviously they could be drastic changes. In this case, the subscription page really changed drastically. However, you want to make sure that you know what you're actually testing and you have a very clear hypothesis.
Very good. So with that, let's close the poll and see which one our audience member. And we'll keep in mind for our staff members who are managing the polls, let's not open them right away until I say, because it seems people are struggling. Wow, quite a bit of people actually voted, which I really like to see when everybody kind of participates. And the winner, at least in this case, it seems design 4 with 60% of the people voting for design 4. Designs 1 and 3 are splits, So let's take a look at the results.
Actually, design 1 was the one that actually won with a 91.3% increase in conversion.
That had almost 5% of the audience members actually voting for it. But I guess sometimes, that's the reason you want to, when you're creating these designs, you want to analyze them very carefully, because your first gut might not be the correct answer.
Right.
Before we jump in to explain what happened with this design, let's take a 5 seconds, just 10 seconds, guys, and we'll be back.
All right, so Khalid, you had actually mentioned at one point in the webinar that we're going to be talking about cognitive progression. So this is our chance. And actually it really worked for the subscription website, and really for any website you have to consider cognitive progression, because what you're thinking of, you're anticipating what your users are going to be doing on the website based on the value and the investment and the price point of your particular service or product. So in this case, actually, because it's subscription based, and it really was not that very expensive. However, the investment that it was going to take, it was going to take the users a little bit longer. So having a one-page checkout just didn't make sense. You wanted to make sure you explained to them the service, reeled them in, made sure that it was very, very attractive to them. So you want to make sure, number one is, you want to use visual indicators. Those are very important. Again, that progress bar really helped the visitors know where they were in the process. That was very helpful through all the designs. Actually, all of those designs did beat the original. However, one did a lot better than the rest. You want to make sure that you incorporate the benefits in the copy. You want to make sure they're close proximity to the actual subscription. Also, design the pages based on cognitive progression. So we know that a one-page checkout for this type of a service just wouldn't work. You want to make sure that you include more steps and really explain the service as much as possible. Also, reduce the clutter on the page. Don't include too many different elements that really increases FUDs, which are fears, uncertainties, and doubts. And then again, when you're thinking about cognitive progression, you want to make sure that you think of the credibility and trust of your product and service, the value that you're offering, the investment, and the price point. And then by anticipating all of this, you're going to be able to have stronger and greater continuity on the page and throughout the website.
Very good. So you're still hitting above 50% increase in conversions. Very incredible. You mentioned something about having a single page checkout or subscription path in this case versus multi-page. And I know many times, at least in the past, people used to tend to say, well, we want to go into the multi-page, but what we're finding out is that sometimes many people are going to the single page, and sometimes we're finding, based on the type of products or services that you're offering, that a multi-page makes more sense.
Exactly. You have to make sure that you think about your product and service, and that's what's going to help you make that determination.
Very good. Excellent. So now we are going to jump into our fourth case study, and with that one.
All right. So what we're looking at for this particular website is that they offer different, they sell different mobile,
devices
and different things. So on the control, you see that there's a top navigation. There's a trust icon. They also included kind of a buy safe. Again, more credibility indicators, trying to really, sell their company and gain the trust and confidence of their visitors.
Very good. So that is the control. And with that, let's take a look at the first variation.
What we did with the first variation is we removed the top nav, we removed the buy safe, we added a banner that talked about the free shipping and the 90-day no-hassle returns, again, trying to incentivize. Then we removed all the different, we kept the credibility indicators, but we put them in one place rather in multiple places on the page to reduce repetitiveness as much as possible.
Very good. Excellent. So that's the first variation. Let's take a look at the second variation.
And I did forget to mention that this is actually the cart page of this particular website, so it is important to keep that in mind.
It is obvious.
For variation 2, we did the same thing where we removed the buy safe, but we kept the top nav in place, and we added the banner of the free shipping, 90-day hassle-free guarantee, and the credibilities, again, near the CTA and in one place.
Very good. So we looked at the original design, variation 1, variation 2. We're not going to open up the poll. Let's give people a chance to take a look at the, actually there's the third variation over here before, but let's not open up the poll. Explain to us variation 3 before we jump into actually giving the audience a chance to participate.
So variation 3, what we did was we removed the buy safe, we kept the top navigation in place, and then what we did was we added an assurance center. So, they had all those credibility indicators and all this. We put them in one place and included other trust, wording and benefits and factors.
I remember when we first introduced an assurance center back in 2007, and Internet Retailer magazine wrote about that because for one website, it helped increase conversions by 32%. And there was this flow to implement assurance centers, and people start calling them different things. And it's sort of funny because it worked for some websites, it backfired with some other websites, going to prove that you need to test, you need to be careful about what you introduce on your website.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should definitely not just copy.
Definitely. So before we open up the poll, let's give people a chance over here to take a look at the designs. Design 0 is the original, design 1, 2, and 3, and we'll open up the poll in 5 seconds. But think about these. And our audience members, for those who are attending the webinar live, this is your chance to think and choose which design you think increased conversions. For those of you who are watching the video recording on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's open up the poll, and the poll is open. So another thing, if you have not had a chance to get yourself a free account on Pi, P-I-I, Pi is Invest's A/B testing engine, and we're making it available, free access, basically for life for our early subscribers. Since we've launched the software last month, we've had 500 subscriptions, a lot better than what we anticipated. We had a plan to get, I think, about 500 subscriptions by the end of the year. We did not anticipate to get them within 1 month. So that's incredible. So for limited time, we are making the subscription, the Pi subscription, the A/B testing engine from Invest available. We are going to be releasing myinvest.com. It's going to be basically your portal for conversion optimization. It will include Pi, the A/B testing engine. It will include other tools, A/B and multivariate and conversion optimization tools. It will include research directories. It will include special webinars released to the MyInvest community. And we thank you again for the support. Let's close the poll and let's see what people are voting. And I see over here, the results are coming and split between 1 and 3. How about that? 50-50. Let's take a look at the winner.
The winner is Design One. So whoever voted for Design One, you can give yourself a pat on the back, with a 10% increase in website conversion. So I had said to you that we're going to have a 10% to 200%. However, I do want to remind you that this is, of course, the cart page. And when we talk about the cart page overall, we talk about something called the correlation factor. So again, depending on what page you're at, a 10% on a cart page is very valuable as opposed to, for example, 10% on a home page.
Yeah, a 10% on the home page typically translates roughly to about maybe a 2% increase in the overall website conversion rate, which is not very high. So if you have a 10%, let's say you have a 5% website overall conversion rate, and you increase conversions for the home page by 10%, you don't expect your website conversion to go by 10%, so from 5% to 5.5. As a matter of fact, you expect it to go from 5 maybe to 5.1. Versus on the cart page, it's a lot different. A 10% increase there, it reflects the whole website overall increase in conversion rate, and that's what we refer to as the conversion correlation factor. What are some of the marketing insights that we've looked at and learned from this test?
So what's important is, of course, we're talking about reducing cart abandonment. It's not only about increasing conversion overall, but you also want to reduce cart abandonment because once they get to the cart, your buyer momentum is generally very high. So you also want to make sure that you reduce visitor anxieties because they could be equally high. They're going to move forward with the purchase. You want to make sure you reduce them. Sometimes we also, we may perceive elements that they add trust and they give confidence, like the, buy safe, for example. However, they don't necessarily. So you want to make sure you address that. Also, the assurance center in this case was not very successful with this particular, partner of ours. You want to make sure that the placement of the credibility icons is placed in a way that's going to increase conversion and really increase buyer momentum and reduce those anxieties. You want to make sure that the cart page, where the buyer momentum is very high, you want to make sure that you don't lose customers. You also make sure you mitigate whatever cart abandonment you're seeing on that page. The three factors or methods that contribute directly to cart abandonment reduction and to keep the buyer momentum high are increasing scent through decluttering. We always see that sometimes people try to jam so much more into the cart page, try to have their upsells and their cross-sells on the cart page. You want to make sure you reduce that. You want to increase trust, value, and urgency on the page, adding banners, adding information that's going to really propel people to move forward. And you want to mitigate FUDs through a step process. Make sure you let them know where they are in the process and how far it's going to be for them to actually convert.
Very good. These are all excellent points. So I want to remind our webinar attendees that we are going to have a live optimization session. We've got an incredible number of websites, so we're not going to be able to go through all of them, but we'll try and go through 5 different websites tonight, and maybe we'll cover some other websites in a later webinar. But cart abandonment. So also something that's the webinar attendees and those who are watching the video should keep in mind. Average cart abandonment is anywhere between 55 to 65%. If you are hitting above 75%, you're losing way too many visitors. So you want to analyze why is that. And it's not always, by the way, a problem with the cart page. Sometimes it's a problem prior to the cart page, but manifests itself with cart abandonment. You're making promises to the visitors and you're breaking them at the cart page. So you want to keep that in mind. Best cart abandonment rate that I've seen, and after optimization was close to 24%. So that is just absolutely incredible. A couple more case studies, and then we jump into live web optimization. For those of you who submitted your website, you might be one of the lucky 5 that we are going to be covering tonight. So Ayat, jump into the next case study. And we're at 35 minutes, so we'll see how long we're going to be able. We're jamming quite a bit of information to this webinar.
Right. In this website, I just want to kind of give a little bit of background. They sell different electronics, but they are a Turkish-based website, actually. So you might see that the language on the website is a little bit different, and that's the reason why. But of course, it's universal. These, conversion framework elements are universal. They work on whatever website, wherever you are from necessarily. So on the controller, you see that there's a left nav. There's a grid view of the products. They also include kind of a top advertisement for a different product that they're selling, and there was a carousel of the top selling products.
Very good, excellent. So that is the control. What is funny, I always get, before we jump into variation 1, we talk to different companies and they always tell us, well, my website is different, my vertical is different. The reality of it, every website is different. However, your visitors are the same and they're having the same struggles. And the conversion framework, the elements of the conversion framework are about understanding the visitor psyche and persuading that visitor to do business with you, to interact with you. And that is getting into your visitors' heads, thinking about their cognitive progression, maintaining their buyer momentum, removing any FUDs through incentives, through trust. All of these factors play together until you get a conversion, and that's one-time conversion. You have an engaging website, which is another conversion framework element. You bring the visitor, so the lifetime value of that visitor increases, or of that customer increases. That's the control. Take a look at variation 1.
Variation 1, we remove the top ad. We place a new banner, 7-day money-back guarantee. Again, the image that you're seeing is in a different language. And then we remove the carousel.
Very good. So that's the variation 1. Variation 2.
Variation 2, we also remove the top ad. We place a different banner, however, customer satisfaction guaranteed or your money back, and we remove the carousel.
Very good. So that's 2 variations. And variation 3.
Again, remove the top ad and the banner read lowest prices, reliable service, and speedy delivery. We remove the carousel on this one as well.
Very good. Excellent. Side-by-side look. We're not going to open up the poll. Let's give people a chance to look at the 3 different designs before we open up the poll. Ayat, meanwhile, tell us about your LinkedIn article. The Pulse article that you submitted, quite a bit of large article, actually. I know you spent quite a bit of time.
It's a very long article, and it talks about 15 different killer tips to increase, engagement through email marketing and to increase conversions overall.
And you designed all the images on the article?
Yes, I actually went through and designed them.
So you did not rely on a designer, so I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's a good thing. I'm creative.
I saw some of the images and I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I was like, people will love this. So connect with Ayat on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. Definitely follow the Invest page. I know our social media team has been really very consistent about posting on Facebook, LinkedIn, on Twitter. We just opened up the poll, giving people a chance to vote between the 3 different challengers to the original. If you are watching this video on YouTube, this is your chance to subscribe. Make sure that you share this video with your colleagues, with your friends. Really the goal from putting these webinars together is to create a conversion optimization community, a community that enjoys conversion optimization, a community that wants to learn more about their visitors and how to give those visitors better websites. Because when you give your visitors better websites, that's how you increase your website conversion. And I see that people are voting. Let's go ahead and close the poll. And the results. Oh, I see. The majority of the votes are going to design number 2, and the winner is?
Design number 2 with a 66.8% increase in
wow,
website
incredible.
conversion.
So we're back to the high increases in conversion rates, 66.8% increase in conversion rates. Very, very incredible. A really nice design. What are some of the things that we've learned from this lesson? And this is a question that we always ask, and I think it's one of the most important things about conversion optimization. Doing that analysis the postmortem analysis, the forensic analysis, the post-test analysis, regardless of what you want to call it, but what are the actionable insights that we've learned from this particular test?
Now, in general, sometimes we may introduce things beforehand, tell you about, the way that we've done webinars before is we give them the hypothesis, we give them kind of the, how we actually came up with this particular test before. What we're doing this time is really telling you afterwards, this is what we did, this is how we did it, and these are the results. So what are the keys to a successful category page? You really want to utilize the prime real estate on the page to increase buyer momentum. We've talked about buyer momentum. We're drilling that through to make sure that that's something that you're doing throughout increasing scent. You want to make sure that you provide several navigational paths to accommodate the visitor's needs. You want to make sure that you utilize the copy and design to clearly present and emphasize the value proposition throughout the page. Again, what's the value that you're offering? This is something very, very key, and we're going to be talking actually about value proposition in a moment. Again, also distinguish the value of certain products through effective messaging and design. On the actual products, you can offer different things, you can say different things that really distinguish them, and not necessarily place an ad that's going to be removing from the actual prime real estate on the page.
Very good. And it's about, you need to recognize your value, but you need to translate it into every element on the page. And I think that's where most people have that disconnect. I understand my value, but how do I translate it into to the website design, to the website copy, to the visitor flow on the website? Huge disconnect. Everybody can talk about their value proposition or the value that they provide, but they can't translate it on the website. Very incredible. We're jumping to the next case study, and we're trying to
two more case
studies, and then live optimization. Live optimization.
Right.
Let's jump into the case studies. And
so this is also a service subscription-based website, and what they offer is, what we saw on their actual landing page was the image was a little bit obscure. It didn't really translate what the product was. Analytics and heat map data indicated that the visitors were not scrolling, and it was a very long copy page. There was actually like a lack of personalization on the page. Where are the personas? Where are you addressing the personas? Where are you addressing their different needs? Where are you addressing the competitive and the impulsive persona? We definitely saw that there was a lack of that. There was just low conversion rates overall and a very high bounce rate on this page.
It's sort of interesting because what do they sell? Like if I just looked at this, and this is a question. In 1 second, can I tell what you sell? Vacation to, I don't know, Grand Canyon or something like that. What did they sell actually?
They actually were selling different communications services and so forth.
They're a large competitor. They're actually the largest provider of online communication services to the Fortune 500. So fairly large company, but failed with this design. But let's take a look at the first variation.
So the variation, what we saw was we changed the image. So it was somebody who's communicating, someone who's on the go, she was at the airport, has her phone in hand, has her laptop in hand, is obviously a very busy individual. We also placed benefits right next to, right on the image. And we placed kind of a headline because sometimes the office is not an option, again, to really push them forward. And we did this particular variation short copy basically ended the page next to the call to action. Variation 2, however, we kept the same design with the image, with the lady on the go, with the benefits and the different headline. However, what we did was we, kept the long copy in order to address different customers' needs and to test that.
Very good. So we're looking at 2 different variations, both challenging to the original design, and we're going to put them side by side look. The original design 0. And design 1, design 2. Now, remind me, design 1 is the short copy, design 2 is the long copy.
Yes.
And it's a subscription type website. Take a look at this, guys, webinar attendees. And we are going to go ahead and open a poll over here, give people a chance to vote. Again, special thanks goes to our webinar partners, and actually our conversion optimization partners, those who have supported Invest for many, many years. Special thanks goes to 3M, the Special Olympics, skis.com, many other partners who make these webinars available. Those of you who are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. The slides will be available on SlideShare. You can go to SlideShare, just search for Invest. You'll have the slides from our different webinars from some of the conferences that myself or Ayat present at. And 67% of our webinar attendees thought it was design 1 that increased conversion. I always struggle with design 1, but which design is the winner?
Design one.
Very good.
With a 238% increase in website conversions. Again, it's about addressing the personas, making sure that you are, thinking about the impulsive, thinking about the competitive, thinking about the logical, all at the same time, and making sure that you address the different personas, the different temperaments, and what they're looking for. And you'll see these amazing increases of 238%.
Now, 238% for a subscription page. I think everybody needs to think about that, because if you are at a 10% conversion rate, that is taking you to 23% conversion rate. It's simple as that. I mean, if you're making $2 million, you're going to $4 million. That's where conversion optimization is just absolutely, absolutely incredible. And I remember the comment that we got from the clients, because they're one of our earlier clients, and the email came back, "I'm a believer." And truly, I mean, we were expecting to increase conversion rates, but we were not expecting a 238%. We have to be, also very realistic. Our goal is to increase conversion rates. We say over a 12-month period is to increase them by 65%, and that also translates to quite a bit of money and revenue gained. But from the first test, 238% was just absolutely incredible. What are some? Let's talk about the personas, because you covered personas over here.
So I want to talk about the different temperaments really quickly. You have your logical persona that, the temperament, again, who's going to be asking questions and wanting to dig deeper and understand more about the product or service that you're offering. That really, those are 45% of the population. And then you talk about the impulsive persona, that temperament where they have the credit card in hand, they're ready to go, they're ready to purchase. They may regret it, but again, they're ready to go. Then you have your caring persona, which is 15% of the population. They need social proof. They need, to understand what other customers were thinking and why they benefited from your product or service. Then you have the competitive and the aggressive persona that is, asking the question, what's in it for me? Why would I want to, subscribe or purchase from your product or service?
It's funny, because I would have thought that the aggressive will be a higher percentage, but personas have been developed for many, many years, since 1921. I was talking to we're working with a broadcast TV station, and I was talking with their editorial team, and I was explaining to them the concept of personas, because that also impacts how you write. And they were saying, well, is this new technique that you guys have developed? And I'm like, no, it's been around since 1920s, actually even before, because Aristotle talked about it.
Exactly.
But it was developed, I think, by Carl Jung in 1921, and then again developed in the 60s and then the 80s. So it's a concept that's been around, but now it's highly, highly accepted by almost everyone. Incredible information, but where do I begin? And we've had a webinar about personas, so anybody who wants to dig deeper into personas can go back and watch the webinar. You are going to be doing training, or I'm going to be doing training, an actual course on how you develop personas for your website. That will be available through My Invest. And My Invest will be released next week. Actually, the code is ready. We've tested it, so we are going to be releasing that. But part of it is going to be those training courses that are going to be available for free to the community members, those who want to actually take the knowledge and implement it on their website. Where do I begin the process of personas, creating personas for my website?
So you want to really get the voice of the customer. Who are your customers? What does your market look like? And how can I segment the market and take a look at them? So what I'm going to be looking at is I'm looking at the different demographical studies. I'm going to be looking at zip code analysis. I'm going to be doing A/B testing. I'm going to be doing field and usability studies. Whatever I can do, whatever I can get my hands on in terms of getting information of who my customers are, what makes the my customer base up, and based on that, I'm going to make different segments, and I'm going to be creating and molding, basically a person, an archetype that represents that target market, that that segment of the market, with different trigger words that affect them, with different value proposition angles that affect them, different knowing their fears, their uncertainties, and their doubts. Those are all things that I'm going to be placing into this persona. So rather than saying that I'm targeting soccer moms that are this 35
to
years
40,
exactly, they whatever, they drive a minivan, I don't know what. I'm saying, no, I'm targeting Jill, and she is a mother of 4, and she has 3 boys and a daughter, and she
graduated from the University of Michigan.
Exactly.
And her husband's making $65,000.
Really honing in on who I'm targeting. So again, I can visualize more, and I can think about Jill, and I can think about Tom, and I can think about Mike, and cater my website to them.
And when we say cater your website, we're talking about the website design, website copy, visitor flow. As you're designing, you're thinking about your personas. Okay, so Jill landed on my product page, and Jill is still evaluating alternatives. What kind of information do I need to present her? Versus Jill, who is ready to buy, and she just landed on my main homepage. What's the fastest way to get her to finish the task at hand? Designing that way really changes how a website is designed and increases conversion rates incredibly.
Tremendously.
Very good. Talk more about personas.
So we talked about, again, their models, their examples, their archetypes that humanize and individualize a specific target market. We went through the 4 main temperaments. You also want to consider cognitive progression because, again, when I'm thinking about personas, I want to think about how are they going to perceive the value, the investment, and the price of my particular product. You want to adjust the copy and design to maximize the response from multiple personas. And you want to make sure that they're a work in progress. You're testing and you're adding to them and you're growing your personas. They're not going to stay the same.
The same personas.
Exactly.
You're always developing them. This is incredible. Our last case study before we jump, and I promised to do live optimization, so we will do live optimization in this session. Let's take a look at the last case study, and from there we jump into our live web optimization, the live web clinic.
So this particular partner, they're very they have different publications. They do lots of content-based items. They also sell different things such as books and they're a big publisher of different technical books. So what we saw on this particular page, which is a category page, is that there's a green banner. It points to the value the site is offering. The text below it is reiterating that value and explaining it a little bit more. DRM, free ebooks, explaining really what does that mean exactly to give the visitor an idea.
And this is sort of interesting because they're a technical books publisher, but even for me, I come from a very technical background, I was very confused when I looked at their page. I'm like, not sure what that means. So that's the control. First variation.
So what we did with the first variation is we really just looked at that banner. We wanted to make sure we answered your question, Khaled, and the question that probably many visitors had. And we said the ebook advantage, because they have a value that they're offering their different visitors, is that they're offering this service that once you purchase a book from them, you're also getting the digital copy. So again, we wanted to make sure we reflected that through the design and through the headline.
Right.
And removed any extra text because, again, remember about buyer momentum. I'm going to drill that further.
Decluttering over there. Variation 2.
Variation 2. Again, we did a very similar thing, but again, the wording changed a little bit. Take your books wherever you go, pinpointing, again, that value.
Very good. So again, we're taking a value, we're translating it into design elements on the page, and that's what we mean when we take the value and translate it. Side-by-side look, the original 0, 1, 2, so the banner, different language between the ebook advantage and take your books wherever you go. Those are the challengers. Let's go ahead and open up polling for our webinar attendees. So again, I want to remind everybody about getting their A/B testing subscription, PI subscription, pii.invest.com, and there will be a link on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link over here to jump in, create your lifetime free access to the PI testing engine. Comes with a very easy point and click editor. You'll have direct support from the development team, from Invest, myself, Ayat, our partners. We really want to grow the community, and like I said, close to 500 subscriptions in the first month. That's pretty incredible. And we're releasing more and more features as we go along. Let's go ahead, and I see that people are voting, and it's split actually between designs 1 and 2. And let's go ahead and close the poll. And again, over here, actually split between the 3 different designs. Yeah, 3 different designs split between them, and the winner is?
The winner is, with a 26% increase, is design 1.
Very good.
So again, the ebook advantage, having that language, having the word advantage really worked.
Resonated well.
It really did resonate well with the
I would have thought the other headline would have won. Take your books wherever you go. That's sort of a benefit that translates. But I guess sometimes choosing that wording that resonates better. And 26% increase in website conversions, that is very, very incredible.
Exactly. So again, what you want to talk about, what we really focused on for this particular partner was the value proposition. they're offering a value with this service that they're offering. You want to make sure that you highlight it throughout the page, identify the right value proposition, and you want to make sure that you can optimize your pages based on that. What is a value proposition? It's a promise of the value that you're delivering by defining the problem you solve and clarifying why you're better than the alternatives. And a compelling value proposition appeals to the customer's strongest decision drivers. Again, remember with value propositions that the more specific you are, the better. What is that secret sauce that really makes you unique and makes you stand out and makes your products and your services stand out? The most effective advertising, of course, that a company does is the way that it conducts business. If I have a value proposition that says I'm, great in this and this and this and that, but I'm really not when it comes to the interaction that the customer has with you, then you're going to be losing a lot of business. It's also the value proposition. It serves as a guide for decisions in any business strategy. So when we're talking about value proposition, this isn't only about conversion optimization. This is about really helping your company overall, offline and online.
Very good. And I think we are going to be releasing a tool in the near future. I know Dr. Sinan is working on this. You have a PhD working on something, so it will be an incredible tool helping businesses evaluate their value proposition, assess it, and how do you improve it. There's quite a bit of formulas that go into that. So it's going to come out, I think, with the release of My Invest or shortly thereafter. We've gone through 7 different case studies, and if you want to learn more, make sure that you get a copy of our book, Conversion Optimization, The Art and Science of Converting Prospects into Customers. It's an Amazon.com best-selling book. It drills deeper into all of these concepts that we've talked about in the webinar. We are going to be doing live optimization in a couple of seconds, and I think we've said many websites submitted, so we're going to choosing a few websites. But I will be doing a live optimization because we've received hundreds of, well, not hundreds, maybe like 150 to 100, close to hundreds of requests for website evaluations. So I'm going to be doing a couple of these webinars just strictly doing live optimization, giving our audience a chance to interact and give their feedback, their thoughts on the design of the different websites. Before we jump into the live optimization, if somebody is looking to increase their conversion rates, after the close of the webinar, there is a poll that opens up. You can use it to contact Invest. We work together to help you increase your conversion rates. We're very focused on mobile optimization. Actually, the 2 sessions I'm giving, one at SMX East, one at PubCon, are specifically talking about mobile optimization. So there's a heavy focus on that. So if you're looking to optimize your website, if you want to break down from the single-digit conversion rates to start increasing conversion rates, make sure that you contact Invest. So with that, Ayat, you want to pull up some of the websites? And like we said, we have many websites that were sent to us. And I think let's just pull some of these and take a look at them.
Okay.
So let's see. And if you're sharing your screen, yep, you are sharing your screen with us. And let's do. This is a chance for people. Let's give people a chance. Why don't you talk a little bit about the website? Let's see what people think about the website.
So this is clearly an energy-conscious website. It's all in the name. The products reflect anything that you can basically purchase in order to help you conserve energy, from lighting to safety products to lawn and gardening products. So definitely, we'd like to hear from you. What do you think about this website? If you can give us your feedback, that would be great.
Yeah. So guys, use the Q&A chat feature, or the Q&A feature on the GoToWebinar. Let us know. And the website address is the Energy Conscious. The name says it all. It's basically a website designed for the energy conscious people. If you want to participate, let us know. What do you think about this? What do you think about this website? Ayat, what do you think is working really well? Some of the feature. I like the design. Some people don't like the 3M. I don't know why. 3M is a partner of ours, so it just threw some people off. They're actually very energy conscious company. Lots of their products, they're very focused on that. That's one of the values that they offer. But what are some of your thoughts on this site?
Well, one of the first things that you see this flash design You just want to make sure that whatever you do add, remember, this is a prime real estate area. What's a prime real estate? Anything that's above the fold. You just want to make sure that anything that is above the fold is really catering to the, actual products that you're offering. I mean, you want to make sure you're displaying the best that you have. So you can click on the different items here, and you might go, for example, to thermostats in this case. But what I would say is that it wasn't very clear. Independence Day is over, so I'd certainly remove that. And the one thing that I did notice on this website was that some of the calls to action at the top, the check our unique efficiency attributes, the 3 great savings, and the energy calculator have nothing to do with the actual products on the site. So if I click on them, I'm actually taken to another page that's going to take me away from the purchasing process.
So it's very important to provide these tools, and we talk about the different stages, the purchase stage. So it's incredible to provide visitors who are early on in the purchase funnel, the buying stages, the early on visitors. You need to provide them with tools, but you need to bring them back to the website. You don't want to navigate people away, so you want to keep that in mind. Good to provide content, but make sure that you bring people back, otherwise you lose them. One thing about personas when it comes to this website, I don't know if they appeal to the caring type persona. I mean, the website is good because in its nature appeals to the caring type persona, but I'd like to know how many people have bought from them. I'd like to know what was the experience that people have bought from them. For somebody who is logical type persona, that's the 45% of the population. I want to know a little bit more. Why would I choose doing business with them? How do they select their products? Something about the methodology and the logic. Some of these tools and calculators that they have are really good. For that. But you want to think about that some more. What do you think about their value proposition? Clearly stated?
I think through just the overall design and through their products, it's stated. But it's certainly somewhere that you can work on it more. It says my money, my planet. Does that mean that by purchasing these products, I'm going to be saving money and I'm going to be saving the planet? Excellent. That's exactly what you're trying to say. That's great. Is there something more that your visitors actually need to hear in order for them to move forward? Are you giving them the actual value that they're looking for? That's very key. So I would just hone in a little bit more on that. And again, I would just think about buyer momentum on the page as much as possible.
Very good. So that's the first website. Let's jump into our second website. And again, our audience members would like to hear your comments and feedback and thoughts. And I'm grateful to those who are sharing with us. Tell us about this website and what it does. What's the URL on this website?
This one is advisor.avo.com.
Okay.
So basically they're offering legal advice from top lawyers on the phone.
Okay.
Very interesting concept. However, one thing that I noticed when I first came to the website is that although the price is placed on the top header, it's still not very, very prominent. What I wanted to see right away also were, okay, well, who are these lawyers that you're talking about? What are the credentials? How are they top lawyers and so forth? Make sure you address that as much as possible. Give the user the trust and confidence they need to move forward. How it works, clicking on that, think about the logical persona. Where is the information that I need? This is very simplified. I want to make sure that I include as much information as possible. Video is great. Of course, remember, if your video is very targeted, then it's an excellent way to get your visitors. But again, test with it as much as possible.
Very good. Can you go back to the top and let me take a quick look at the website? So one thing about selling professional services, people value professional services. So when it's offered at a lower price, some people might appreciate it, but also some people might be worried about the quality that I'm getting. So for example, while I expect to get a SaaS service for free and try it out, if a psychiatrist tells me, well, here's 30 minutes for free, or a lawyer, I'll be a little bit worried. Why isn't he able to get customers? So you want to build credibility and trust with your website. And I think that's where there are elements of it there. You see signs of it, but I think mentioning the lawyers, like you said, the number of, over here it says about 1,830 customer reviews, good customer reviews with 4.5. Well, tell me that you've had 12,000 happy customers. Customer reviews are typically about 10% of your customer base. Tell me about the lawyers and their credentials. There's a lot more. For the logical type persona, like you said, logical type persona loves to know details and how it works over here. These are good headlines, but they're good for the spontaneous. Keep them, but for the logical, provide some more copy, and that copy can help you even in terms of SEO services. So there's more that you can do there.
Right. So what you talked about really and touched on, Khaled, was essentially cognitive progression. You're offering this
Yes.
service that is very, it's a valuable service to many people. However, the value is generally, we know that the price point is much higher if you're getting legal advice from, any type of a lawyer. If I hire a lawyer, I'm paying anywhere between $300 to $500 an hour. So certainly, how can I make this more? How can I give that trust and confidence to the?
Very good. So cognitive progression, trust and confidence, all very important concepts that must be translated into your design, into your copy. Jump into the third website.
Okay, and we're looking at Latisse MD. So shoplatissmd.com.
And you had to explain this to me because I'm not very familiar. Maybe I don't know. Latisse, okay.
Right. So Khaled, of course, he didn't know. I've heard of Latisse before, of kind of just something that helps your eyelashes grow. It's almost like a medical thing. That's why they call themselves Latisse MD. So what I would say is that one of the things that I noticed was I don't know how many people know these different brands.
I definitely don't. So.
And these are how you got this website is categorized through the different brands. So you want to make sure maybe select something different. Why wouldn't I put it by skincare or by eye care, by different things like that to really help people understand that may not know what these different things are.
Yeah, typically, unless the brands are really well known to the user, you want to identify it either by the problem that the visitor or let the visitor self-actualization or need actualization, two different ways. I'm suffering from acne, I'm looking for anti-aging medicine or creams or things like that, as opposed to the brand. But why don't we navigate to one of the categories and take a look at the site.
Okay, so this is Skin Medica. Again, I wasn't really familiar with this particular brand. Looks like it's recognized on, for example, the Knot, and I can see that there's just the different icons there on Cosmo Beauty that may attract some of the visitors. However, on the subcategory level here, or on the navigation over here, I'm back to the top navigation where it's Latisse and Skin Medica and all these different brands. So I do want to make sure that I address that. How can I actually drill down on this particular category level? I don't want to necessarily look at the upper category level.
And this is a very important concept. I wrote a post I've been working on for a while. You have to distinguish between the primary navigation, and in this case you have the top header. If you want to navigate to the top to show the top header, that's the main navigation, the different categorization that you have. So that's your primary navigation. This takes you to every part of the website that you have. And there's lots of methodology that goes into the different types of the top navigation, drop-down menus, fly-out menus. There are just many, many different types that I think 7 or 8 different types at least as main categories. Now, the left nav is an auxiliary navigation, a support navigation. Typically, you want to cover a category, so it is very localized. If I clicked on Latisse products, I want to see the Latisse and how I can drill that deeper. It's unusual to have both. You want to think about this. You don't want to just throw your products there and the categorization is there and it's like, we're done. Even, by the way, from an SEO perspective, what page links to what page? That's very important. Typically, a page needs to link to its sibling pages and to the parent category. You don't want to be linking to all pages on the website. You lose some of the SEO value. Also, your visitors don't like that. So how many websites we've covered until now? We're not going to be able to cover all websites, but we've covered 3 until now.
Websites.
Let's take our 4th website.
Really quickly, we're looking at a content-based website called Snackable News, and they offer daily digestible stories.
Daily digestible stories. Interesting. Definitely different than anything. What do you guys think, our webinar attendees? And yes, we are covering. I see some questions. We're not going to be able to cover all the websites that were submitted to us. We will do a subsequent webinar. We actually have a couple of webinars, interesting webinars that are coming very soon. So we have Stephen Spencer an incredible authority on SEO, especially e-commerce SEO. I'm not sure if we're going to be talking about e-commerce or WordPress or content. I mean, the guy is just incredible, who's going to be joining us. And Linda Bustos as well from Elastic Path, longtime friend of Invest. Let's talk about snackable news.
So Snackable News, one of the first things that I noticed, I don't know if they want to get subscriptions or what their methodology is, but I'm assuming on definitely lots of content websites, that's what we see. People want subscriptions, and they want people to link to their website. So that seems a little bit difficult. There is this Find Us. It's very small and very obscure and difficult to find. However, it only offers social media options and no way to actually subscribe to the website. The menu is actually hidden here. Khalid was asking me, oh, well, how can I drill down? And I said, there is a way. However, it was very difficult for him to see, so that's definitely something to consider. How can I make things a little bit more visible, a little bit more usable? I know that this little kind of hidden menu is actually in now, but you just want to make sure that people see it.
Very
somehow.
Good. Very good. Again, think about conversion. Even if you're a content type website, how do I convert visitors? It seems everybody, our staff over here, and I really appreciate the staff, the camera staff, the director who's directing, our audio staff, the technical team. Thank you guys for all the effort that you do. Thank you, our webinar attendees. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and attend our next webinars. We're having to finish this early because everybody's pointing that the recording time on the cameras is about to get done. Again, thank you for joining Invest. Make sure that you share the webinar. With that, happy testing from the Invest team.